It's going to be a thrilling Tuesday. After 8 days of suspense, India's most talked about political soap opera is set to end. At 10 a.m., the Supreme Court tomorrow will decide Sasikala's fate. While no one can presage the Supreme Court, there are a set of 3 hard facts I'm presenting up front that are undeniable, undisputable, and need in fact to be told. The verdict could be a split one, or the Supreme Court could order a retrial which could lead to further delay but will essentially leave Sasikala with a clear path to test her strength on the floor of the House. In other words, a split verdict, or the Supreme Court sending this case back for retrial to the lowermost court, to the lowest court in the land, will be the outcome that Sasikala will be most hopeful of. If Sasikala is held guilty, and this is hard fact too, if she is held guilty in a corruption case, she will be disqualified from holding office, contesting elections for a period of 6 years. The likelihood of that happening is high, claim those who have presided over the case. Hence, we come to hard fact 3. And this prompts me to ask tonight, because basically, the question here is of opportunism. Should Sasikala have made a push for the chief ministership when such a critical case was hanging over her head? And all of this prompts me to ask tonight if Sasikala betrayed the people's faith by making a run for office when judicial uncertainty loomed. And are those who were pushing the governor to swear in Sasikala guilty of pushing the state towards dangerous political instability? Imagine if Sasikala had been sworn into office a week ago, and tomorrow, on this terrific Tuesday that is looming before us, the Supreme Court decides that she is guilty in connection with a corruption case. She would have had to step down as chief minister. Isn't it better that we will have clarity by waiting just 24 more hours? And therefore, the question must be asked, was there something behind, some motive behind the move, the pressure that was being put on the governor to administer Sasikala the oath of office? Fundamental questions will go out tonight, but we managed to speak today to Sasikala one-on-one. Yes, Times Now is the only national news channel that managed to interview her today. Here are excerpts from that interview.
கவர்னர் வந்து ஒருதலை பட்சமாக செயல்படுறாரு நீங்கள் நினைக்கிறீங்களா மேம்?
கொஞ்சம் வெயிட் செஞ்சு பார்க்கலாமே, அவசரப்பட்டு சொல்ல வேண்டாம், பொறுமையாக இருப்போம்.
மேம், உங்களுக்கு மெஜாரிட்டி இருந்து கூட அவங்க ஏன் வந்து உங்களை கூப்பிட மாட்டேன்றாங்கன்னு நீங்கள் நினைக்கிறீங்க மேம்?
பல காரணங்கள் இருக்கு, இன்னைக்கு வரைக்கும் பார்க்கலாமே.
மேம், பிரதானமான காரணம் என்னவா இருக்கு?
நீங்க ஏன் இது வரைக்கும் நீங்க டிஎம்கே பத்தி சொல்றீங்க, ஆனா நிறைய பேர் சொல்றாங்க இதுல பிஜேபியோட ஒரு கை இருக்கு, நீங்க ஏன் அது சொல்ல மாட்டீங்க?
நீங்க எல்லாம் சொல்றீங்க, நீங்க எல்லாம் சொல்லும்போது நீங்க எல்லாம் பத்திரிகையை சேர்ந்தவங்க, உங்களுக்கு தெரியாது எதுவுமே இருக்க முடியாது. என்னன்னு போக போக தான் தெரியும்.
ஆனா இது சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்டோட ஒரு கை இருக்குன்னு நீங்க நம்புறீங்களா?
எல்லாரும் சொல்றாங்க அப்படி.
டிஏ கேஸ் ஒரு காரணம் சொல்லலாமா மேம்?
அதுக்கு இதுக்கு சம்மந்தம் கிடையாது.
இல்ல மேம், நான் நேற்று என்ன கேட்க வந்தேன்னா, டிஏ கேஸ் வேர்டிக்ட் ஒரு வாரத்தில் வரதுனால நீங்கள் கொஞ்சம் வெயிட் பண்ணியிருக்கணும் லெஜிஸ்லேச்சர் பார்ட்டி மீட்டிங்க்கு, நீங்கள் நம்புறீங்களா?
இல்லை, அப்படி ஒன்று நான் நினைக்கல. என்னை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் பன்னீர்செல்வத்தினுடைய நடவடிக்கை நிறைய மாறி இருந்தது. அதன் பிறகு சட்டசபையில் துரைமுருகன் பேசினார். அவர் சொல்லும்போது ஒன்றை சொன்னார், 89 சட்டமன்ற உறுப்பினர்கள் இருக்கிறார்கள் எங்களிடம், நீங்கள் 5 ஆண்டு காலம் முதல்வராக இருக்கலாம் மேம் இப்போ அப்படின்னு சொன்னாங்க. அதை போய் ஒரு திமுககாரவங்க சொல்லும்போது பன்னீர்செல்வம் எழுந்து பேசியிருக்கலாம், நாங்கள் ஃபுல் மெஜாரிட்டியோடு இருக்கோம், எங்களுக்கு எதுக்கு உங்களுடைய தயவுன்னு கேட்டிருக்கலாம். அதை அவர் கேட்கல. அதுக்கப்புறம் எல்லாருக்குமே சந்தேகம் வந்துச்சு. அதன் அடிப்படையில் தான் இந்த முடிவுக்கு வந்தோம்.
மேம், பப்ளிக் ஒரு அவங்களுக்குள்ள ஒரு ஆங்கர் இருக்கு, அது நீங்கள் எப்படி அட்ரஸ் பண்ணுவீங்க? இப்போ உங்கள் மேலேயும் அவங்க சொல்கிறாங்க ஜெயலலிதா அம்மாவோட பொலிட்டிக்கல் ஏரா உங்களை அவங்க அப்பாயிண்ட் பண்ணல. அப்போ நீங்கள் அந்த ஒரு ஆங்கர் நீங்கள் எப்படி அட்ரஸ் பண்ணுவீங்க?
இல்லைங்க, என்னை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் அம்மா என்ன செஞ்சாங்களோ ஏழைகளுக்காக நிறைய செஞ்சுருக்காங்க. அதெல்லாம் நாங்கள் செய்வோம். மக்கள் எங்களை சப்போர்ட் பண்ணுவோம்.
வேணும்னே உங்க மேல வந்து ஒரு காழ்ப்புணர்ச்சியை தூண்டி விடுறாங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறீங்களா மேடம்?
நிச்சயமாக எதிரிகள், அரசியல் எதிரிகளில் ஒரு விஷயத்த சொல்கிறேன். பெண்ணாக இருந்தால் ரொம்ப வரும். அதுதான் இப்போ நடக்கும்.
ரொம்ப மீடியா ஸ்டாப் பண்றாங்க. ஒரு வாட்டி கல் எறிஞ்சாங்க, நீங்க சொல்லுவீங்களா அது அப்படி பண்ணக்கூடாதுன்னு?
என்னம்மா,
கூவத்தூர்ல ஒரு வாட்டி கல் எறிஞ்சாங்க மீடியாவா, நீங்க கொஞ்சம் கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ண சொல்லுவீங்களா?
அது எனக்கு தெரியாதுமா. அந்த மாதிரி யாரும் செய்ய மாட்டாங்க. அதில் நிறைய விஷயம் நீங்கள் கவனிக்கணும். அம்மாவை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் ஒரு இராணுவ கட்டுப்பாட்டோடு இருக்கணும் தன்னுடைய கட்சியை சேர்ந்தவர்கள்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. அது இன்ன வரைக்கும் தொடர்ந்து அதே நிலையில் தான் இருக்காங்க. அப்படி இருக்கும்போது எங்களுடைய கழகத்தவர்களுடைய கூட்டத்தில் வேண்டாதவர்கள்னு கூட அது மாதிரி செஞ்சிருக்கலாம்.
மேம், ஓபிஎஸ் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு நடவடிக்கையில் ஈடுபடுவார் நீங்க எதிர்பார்த்தீங்களா மேம்? அவருடைய நடவடிக்கையில சந்தேகம் இருந்துச்சு உங்களுக்கு?
எனக்கு சட்டசபை நிகழ்ச்சியின் போது சந்தேகம் இருந்தது. அதுதான்
மேம், இந்த கிரைசிஸ்ல எப்படி உங்க ஃபேமிலி சப்போர்ட் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுவீங்க?
We have a verdict. We are being told that 2 judges are typing up their verdicts. They could differ. They could be a split verdict. As I pointed out in the hard facts that I put out for you, that's one of the things that Sasikala will be hoping for. But aren't we so lucky that this entire scenario is playing out before the governor actually called Sasikala to take office? Because had that happened and had she been pronounced guilty tomorrow, there would have been once again a political vacuum in Tamil Nadu. And therefore I'm asking tonight, is it only fitting that the Supreme Court decides Sasikala's fate under the circumstances that have presented themselves over the last 1.5 weeks? And also, has Sasikala herself undermined the faith of the people by insisting, by pushing for the Chief Minister's chair at a time when this case was hanging over her head like a Damocles sword proverbially? Let's just open this out for debate. Joining me this evening, Krishnan Venugopal, senior lawyer, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, senior MP of the Bharatiya Janata Party, member of Parliament, as I just told you, Siddharth Luthra, former Additional Solicitor General on the finer points of the law. Also with us is Apsara Reddy, member of the AIADMK, R. Rajagopalan, senior journalist, and Amerikai Narayan, political analyst. Let me first begin by asking Mr. Rajagopalan. Mr. Rajagopalan, this channel, Times Now and India Upfront in specific have been arguing against hastening this entire process. Many people had been saying that the governor was dilly-dallying, dithering for no account, that this was all political. Today, we stand vindicated because we said, let situations resolve themselves legally around Sasikala before anyone is administered oath of office, because you could have once again a leadership vacuum. Would you agree, sir, that perhaps the governor was being absolutely right in exercising caution?
Yes, you are right. And as your introductory remark, what you said is a sheer opportunism of Sasikala. And second thing, she has betrayed the public confidence. The vote was for Jayalalitha, not for Sasikala. So what you have said in your intro is absolutely correct, and I support you.
Okay, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, do you believe that the judge and the governor really stands vindicated because the judges could tomorrow hand out a guilty verdict? And I believe that you were in the forefront of foisting this case on Sasikala because you have reasons to believe that she acted in a corrupt manner?
Well, as far as the question of who should be Chief Minister, we have to go by the Constitution. The Constitution has listed in Article 191 to 92 the disqualifications anybody would suffer. And on that basis, Sasikala didn't suffer from any disqualification. She was invited by the governor and so was Panneerselvam. and she produced a list of 129 or 30 MLAs with their signatures and an offer that she will bring them physically to meet the governor if he wanted. And as far as Paneerselvam is concerned, he didn't produce any list at all. And therefore, it is obvious that the constitution required that the governor invited to form the government and then face a floor test. That would have been the constitutional procedure. Now, what's going to happen in the future? I don't think any governor should take that into account, because future, not only court cases you will win or lose, you could also die in an accident.
But Dr. Swami, forgive me for interrupting you.
Problem.
Isn't it also true that governors must ascertain whether the person they are sort of calling in to administer oath can actually provide stable governance and a stable administration, and therefore perhaps...
that is only if they don't have...
Okay.
That is only if they don't have majority.
If they don't have majority.
Once the majority is clear, once the majority is clear, then the question of stable government cannot be a consideration.
Okay. So you still stand by your criticism of the governor for delaying this particular oath taking. You're standing by that.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Absolutely. He has violated the constitution.
He's violated the constitution, even though there might be a possibility tomorrow that she might be disqualified from running for office. Dr. Subramaniam Swami says that the governor has violated the constitution. Okay, let me open this out. Let me open this out right at the top. And I want to bring in Mr. Sarvanan. Mr. Sarvanan, you heard Sasikala. She says that you are the ones who have orchestrated this crisis. But on that finer point, do you believe that the governor today is being vindicated, that his decision to wait is in the interests of the public?
Yeah, see, from this happened from the 6th of February, we have been maintaining the stand that the governor should not only act according to the letter of the law, but also the spirit of the constitution. See, we have so many safeguards, and the Supreme Court has also put in a lot of safeguards. The only reason so many safeguards are there, not just majority, it's also about longevity and stability. I think that is the paramount consideration, and definitely the governor stands vindicated. Tomorrow, let be whatever be the verdict, and the governor can take any decision supported by the judgment, so that there won't be any crisis. As the peculiar circumstances of this case is, Tamil Nadu especially is now in a very, very vulnerable situation. We have been facing a lot of crisis. On top of this, we don't want still more instability.
Instability.
We have, our leader, Mr. M.K. Stalin, has also pointed out.
He says, Mr. Sarvana, and that's an important point.
Yes.
Let me bring in Apsara Reddy. Apsara
Yes.
Reddy, are those pushing the governor to swear in Sasikala, your party colleagues, you yourself on this show, guilty of pushing the states towards what could have been a very embarrassing situation, which could have destabilized democracy for a little while longer at the very least?
Rahul, there are two things we have to get factually correct here. When Mr. Paneerselvam started playing into the hands of the DMK, when Mr. Durai Murugan basically said that we will support Mr. Paneerselvam, we have the requisite MLAs, Paneerselvam never stood up and spoke. That sent alarm bells within our party. But then after that, Mr. Paneerselvam mooted the name of Madam Chinnamma to become the Chief Minister, and then kind of did a volte-face and did a U-turn. And the date of the Supreme Court judgment was announced after the legislature party meeting, at which Mr. Paneerselvam had mooted her name. So she's not in any hurry. She just followed the party principles and the voice of the people and voice of the party members. And the strongest voice there was Mr. O. Paneerselvam's. He played into the hands of the DMK. It was a pre-planned attempt to bring about instability in the state.
Did the DMK instigate? What proof do you have that the DMK instigated all of this, Ms. Reddy? Please explain. What proof do you have?
Please ask them.
On the actual basis, if you heard the press conference of Madam V.K. Sasikala, if you heard the press conference of Madam V.K. Sasikala, when Mr. Durai Murugan said, we have the support of 89 MLAs,
Madam, please.
And we will support you, Mr. Paneerselvam. Mr. Paneerselvam never stood up and spoke.
Madam, please. Give me 3 hard facts. You know that I like to put out the facts.
What is this? Allusions.
We don't believe in alternative truths, alternative facts, XYZ. I believe in hard facts. Give me 3 reasons, hard facts, why you believe that the DMK is behind this. 3 facts.
in the floor of the assembly, when Mr. Durai Murugan said we have the requisite MLAs for Mr. O. Paneerselvam to become the chief minister, what should the sitting chief minister of the AIADMK do? Not play into the hands of the the DMK, and he should have said.
Playing into the hands is different.
And said, we have the requisite
You made
MLAs.
a charge.
Why
you
do I
said
need
that the
your support?
DMK is behind this.
Instead,
Sasikala says that the DMK is behind this. Tell me, ma'am, how do you believe? How do you believe that the DMK is behind this? Give me 3 reasons. No, give me 3 reasons. 3 facts. Come on. 3 facts. 3 facts.
Yes.
DMK
Let them not be detached from reality.
DMK has always projected Mr. Paneerselvam. Can I start?
Was JJ Lalita part of the DMK?
Go ahead, Ms.
Was JJ Lalita part of the DMK?
Rahul,
She projected O.
Paneerselvam.
She projected O. Paneerselvam as the chief minister. She put him in the seat. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Now you tell me, ma'am.
As as Madam V.K. Sasikala said today, she never wanted to be the chief minister. Even during Madam's sad demise, Mrs. V.K. Sasikala proposed Mr. Paneerselvam's name. It was he who wanted her to be the chief minister, and suddenly played into the hands of the DMK.
That's your
the
word
DMK
against
has
someone
always been
else's.
hailing Mr. Paneerselvam as the chief. You've heard media bites from DMK people.
Let me bring him in.
Which opposition does that?
Narayanan. Let's get an
want a weak chief
voice,
minister who plays into
a political
their hands.
voice. Narayanan, who's playing into whose hands? And I'm asking you this question, has Sasikala, could she not have waited for this verdict before orchestrating this huge palace coup? And there's no other way of looking at this. It's just a palace coup.
Well,
Rahul, but one second, the date of this was announced after the legislative party meeting. You need to get your facts right.
Let him speak. Let him speak. Yes.
I really don't care whether it is Sasikala or OPS who is the chief minister. However, I believe that there is a third party in here, which is the governor. Governor is intentionally, as Dr. Subramania Swamy has said, has violated the constitutional position that he holds by procrastinating intentionally so that he can play into the BJP's hands.
No, how do you know?
The governor is not acting as an independent constitutional authority.
So you wouldn't have minded just because. No, one second.
Party leader P. Chidambaram says different.
As they are playing
Mr. Rajagopalan. Mr. Rajagopalan.
P. Chidambaram says different. What American Narayanan is saying, P. Chidambaram is saying the different words. Governor should wait. What is the answer?
Please understand.
Exactly opposite. Why division in Congress?
Please understand. I have come here as a political analyst. I am expressing my view.
Sir,
why did Chidambaram say that?
Like
why did Chidambaram want the governor should wait?
Well, Mr. Chidambaram has his views. I am not disputing that.
What about Soli Sorabji? Soli Sorabji on this channel has come out and said, these are very, hang on. These are very eminent legal minds I'm talking about. Soli Sorabji came out and said, no, excuse me, Mr. Narayanan, 1 second. You have an opinion, but you are not basing it on facts. You are saying that the governor has acted in bad faith. Give me the proof, sir. Give me the hard facts.
Rahul.
Give me the hard facts.
Look at this.
Rahul. Yes, 1 second, coming out to you.
Rahul, may I give you a hard fact?
For BJP, it's more important that they have the MPs in the upcoming. Neither DMK or anybody else has as much member of parliament as ADMK has.
No, sir. These are, look, you're going off. I don't know what sort of analysis you're doing and what politics you're analyzing, sir. But I'm sorry. I think you become a conspiracy theorist.
These are the facts.
You're not an analyst. You're a theorist. 1 second. Conspiracy theory. No, 1 second. Conspiracy theories are being peddled here tonight.
Rahul, we
as
have
analysis.
To understand one thing.
No, 1 second. Look, I'm only getting 2 responses. That the DMK did it, that the governor has acted in a manner fide.
You constantly keep saying, what is the hurry for Madam Sasikala to become the chief minister?
I
want to answer your question.
Why perpetuate a second fraud on the people?
The date of the DA case was decided after she was mooted as the chief ministerial candidate.
It doesn't matter. How does that make a difference? The fact of the matter is, everyone knew that there's a judgment impending.
There was no hurry.
Why are you claiming?
No, then why exactly?
Why can't you wait? Why can't you wait till the judgment is coming?
Exactly. Absolutely.
when the legislatures of the leading party nominate her as the chief ministerial candidate, she has every right to prove a majority in front of the governor, and the governor is duty bound to do so.
Ma'am, your interpretation of the law is strictly, no, 1 second. Your interpret, no, 1 second, America and Narayanan, 1 second, please, calm down.
Nobody is misinterpreting the law.
No one is misinterpreting the law.
The law applies to everybody equally.
I am not misinterpreting it. All I'm talking about, ma'am, is timing. Timing is very important. You could turn this entire argument, this debate on its head by saying that did Sasikala was Sasikala desperate to occupy the chief minister's post prior to the Supreme Court verdict, so that when the if of course the courts pronounced her guilty, she could put in a proxy and secure. No, 1 second, and secure herself. No, this is look. I mean, look. I'm sorry.
The legislature party meeting happened before the Supreme Court announced the date of the case.
8 MPs who were standing next to Sasikala have flipped sides, ma'am. You know the situation. You know what's happening, and I'm only asking you this question. Was the timing...
That's because the MPs are required by the centre.
Insensitive.
The MPs are required by the centre. Who's shooting from the governor's shoulder? Or from Mr. O. Paneerselvam's shoulder. The MLAs have not defected.
Okay.
MPs are right now required by the centre.
Dr. Swami.
Has got full majority. Why does he write?
And please Google.
I want to comment at this
You can also Google the political affiliations of the governor, I'm sure.
The ADMK party is making
Rahul, let's look at it from the legal point of view.
We will. No, 1 second.
Legal allegations against the DMK party. Why are they not making any allegations against the BJP?
1 second.
In fact, controlling
They are making. Sasikala today. Sasikala said everything was being controlled by the centre. Okay, gentlemen, 1 second. I want to bring in the legal luminaries also that we have with us, Krishnan Venugopal and Siddharth Luthra. Siddharth Luthra, I just want to ask you a very simple, straightforward question. Do you believe that it would have been in the wisdom? I know the law. The law says that Sasikala stands today not guilty because the High Court has let her off, etc., etc. But you know, if we always read the fine print of the law constantly, we are losing also in the court of public perception. Democracy is also greatly about public perception, and therefore I'm asking you, should Sasikala just have said, look, let me wait another few weeks, a month maybe, and then made a run for the chief minister's post? How would heavens have come down? Simple question.
Rahul, I can't speak for the political aspect of it, but I must tell you, once the matter had been mentioned in the Supreme Court by the Karnataka government, and once it had been made clear that the judgment was out next week, and today we know for a fact that the judgment is to be pronounced tomorrow, I think one can say that the governor may not have followed the strict letter of the constitution, but he's been pragmatic in order to ensure that there is stability in the state. Now, I think that today is very clear, keeping in view that we are going to have a judgment tomorrow, whichever way it comes. If it's in her favor, there'll be one result, but if it's against her, the consequences, of course, are the consequences under the Representation of People Act. So I think in that sense, I would really believe that there is nothing really wrong with what the governor has done.
Okay, nothing wrong, because he's chosen to be practical and pragmatic rather than political, as some people might have wanted him to be. Dr. Swami, that's a fair, balanced view, would you not say? That yes, okay, the law allows him to, but yes, he's chosen the path of pragmatism. Is that something grievously wrong?
Well, the question is, but can you play around with the constitution in this way? I remember in the emergency, the ruling party held that habeas corpus also doesn't apply, and that you could be killed without a trial. And in fact, the Attorney General went to the Supreme Court and said that. I think when it comes to these matters, the strict law, the strict provisions of the Constitution will be followed. And furthermore, we can't go on uncertainty. How did we know that Sasikala would be convicted? Although I, as a complainant, feel that's a very strong case and she is bound to be convicted. But generally speaking, if we allow this kind of freedom to the governor to go beyond the Constitution, then something can be built on it and something more can be built on it, and ultimately the Constitution will become irrelevant.
Okay, I understand that point you're making, and I want to bring in Krishnan Venugopal. Krishnan Venugopal, this...
I think I'd like to respond to that.
Okay,
respond to
that. Yes, Siddharth Luthra.
Yeah, I think Dr. Swami's analogy with the emergency is not really applicable here. Secondly, we also must see the timing. When this happened and the matter was mentioned and it became clear that a judgment is coming next week, things, according to me, the parameters changed. Prior to that, things were different. Before that, the judgment's been reserved for 6 months. It wasn't happening. Before that, the governor had gone ahead and proceeded to allow it to come on the floor of the House and prove a majority. Things were different. But once it was clear that the judgment is coming, I believe that the legal parameters changed. And today, the fact that the judgment is coming tomorrow really proves that point.
So, Swami, a quick response to that.
Well, Jagadambi Pal was given on the orders of the court that he should be given the oath of office, and he lasted just 1 day. I mean, I think this kind of allowing the wise people to decide where the constitution should be interpreted and where it should be relaxed, I think that's a very dangerous precedent, and I certainly, I'm no great admirer of Sasikala. I certainly have fought the case for 20 years against her. But I do feel that this violation of the constitutional principles is a very dangerous trend, and we can't allow it.
That's an important point.
We have faced great embarrassment in what happened.
That's an important point.
We have faced embarrassment.
Krishnan Venugopal.
Yeah, it is. And just before that, let me say that in both in the case of Uttaranchal and Arunachal, our government has faced great deal of embarrassment because the law officers took this kind of license which Mr. Luthra is advocating, and we came to grief on that.
Okay, I mean, Mr. Luthra, would you like to respond? Would you like to respond? We are creating exceptions, and these exceptions will then become the norm.
I don't think it's about license. I don't think it's about license. No, I think it's not about license. I have told you what the timeline was. If before it became clear that the judgment is coming next week, and Dr. Swami of all people knows the consequences of a judgment of conviction, which incidentally he also pleaded for.
No, but the point he's making is that there have been instances in the past where Jagdambika Pal was chief minister for 1 day. We all know that, and it was the court that said, okay, please go test your strength on the floor of the House, knowing fully well that there could have been, in fact, a situation where there would be instability. In fact, there was following that instability. Therefore, is pragmatism the way forward, and will dharma be dispersed by the courts? Really? Is that really what's going to happen, Mr. Venugopal? Will dharma, as everyone is suggesting,
no,
it is about
the point
dharma.
Is different.
Okay, what's the point? Mr. Venugopal, what's the point?
I think it's about waiting for an important event to happen, and that event will happen tomorrow, whichever way, and that's what the governor's done.
Okay, that's what the governor's done. Mr. Venugopal, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
and it's an event which will have an implication on
You've had your turn, Mr. Luthra. You've had your turn. Okay, we can't have afterthoughts. This is not a court case where you can continually addending your arguments. No, you had your chance. Let the other gentleman speak. Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to point out that there is a judgment of the Supreme Court on the precise issue of the consequences of a conviction for a chief minister. In the B.R. Kapoor case, a constitution bench was dealing with the issue of whether the late Ms. Jayalalitha would have to step down because she was convicted. And after analyzing all the constitutional provisions, they came to the conclusion that Article 164(4) required that a chief minister who has been convicted must step down. Now, keeping that in mind, I'd like to point out that till now, most of the cases that came before the Supreme Court have concerned chief ministers allegedly having lost a majority and the governor jumping in and deciding to do away with the chief minister.
Yes.
That is, and the ruling party.
Right.
There is a big difference in the situation here. Nobody is questioning the majority commanded by the AIADMK today. The only question is whether Ms. Sasikala should be the chief minister immediately as she desires, or whether there is an element of discretion left with the governor under Article 163(2) to wait for the Supreme Court judgment, especially given that the Supreme Court last week indicated that it would be delivering the judgment this week when the government of Karnataka mentioned the matter.
Yes.
In my view, the issue of always having to conduct a floor test immediately is not the correct question that has to be posed in these circumstances.
Important.
I believe that the view, that the governor should immediately jump in and conduct a floor test here as to whether it is Ms. Sasikala or Mr. Paneerselvam who commands the majority is not quite the correct question to be posed. The question is whether he should proceed immediately or he should wait when the Constitution demands that a convicted person cannot be allowed to become.
So you're saying that the governor, by erring on the side of caution, has perhaps done a service to democracy. Important point, Mr. Venugopal. We should not really be rushing into this entire situation because there is the imminent danger of a guilty verdict and therefore Sasikala being asked to step aside. Now I want to go back once more to Ms. Reddy. Ms. Reddy, what do you have to say? What was the hurry? Was Sasikala so desperate to become chief minister so even if she was evicted she could then put a puppet on the seat, just like J.J. Lalita did with O. Paneerselvam, and hold the reins from the back? Is that the reason why?
Not at all. Not at all. As Madam Sasikala herself has said, she had no political ambition.
Oh,
she installed Mr. Paneerselvam as the chief minister.
Oh, come on.
Even from the hospital. She could have become the chief minister
today say, then hang on.
But Mr. Paneerselvam was the one who mooted her name.
Come on. I thought that today she would have come out in public and said,
let me speak.
No, 1 second. Miss Apsara Reddy, please.
So let me finish.
Let's not talk about ambition because she has fought tooth and nail. She has called OPS.
He was the one who mooted her
a liar. She's called him a conspirator.
Court verdict date was announced
she's not so
after
desperate, she can still come out and say she doesn't really care two hoots about the chief ministership. She's pulling out, she's backing out of the race. Let someone else step forward and take the reins
when the multiple political interests are trying to jeopardize the state and shoot from Mr. O. Paneerselvam's shoulder, we have every right to stake claim to government. Mr. Paneerselvam is playing a stooge to the opposition. Multiple forces are shooting from his shoulder. He's a weak chief minister. The state will be compromised under him.
Does the individual too deserve the right? Mr. Rajagopalan, does the individual have an equal right just as much as the party? Or does the party? Yes, the party has a right to stake its claim and continue in office because it's given the mandate, but does the individual also have the same right? That's the question we're asking tonight.
Sasikala was in a hurry and she did not care for the party. She wanted the individual to be prevailing on the other MLAs. Sasikala was really in a hurry. What was the hurry? She would have waited for 6 months. She would have waited for 3 months.
She could have waited for 3 months. She could have waited for 3 months. Would you like to take that, Apsara Reddy?
Yeah, we can wait endlessly, but the people of Tamil Nadu require Chief Minister.
Mr.
Rajagopalan can ask us to wait for however long.
Senior lawyers. There are two senior lawyers who are giving you the same advice. They're saying, look, for God's sakes.
There might be senior lawyers, Rahul. What we need to understand
look at the people's interest.
The party is firmly behind her. We deserve a chief minister. The candidate with the maximum legislature has to become the chief minister.
We don't know
now,
if the party is behind her
or not is not the governor's business.
10
According
MPs
to the constitution, he is duty bound to swear in the person.
Other MLAs are under lock and key. There are some sham sort of interviews that are being conducted with each one of them. We all know that they are being guarded.
It will be the most embarrassing thing for us. It will be the biggest embarrassment for us if we hold them hostage.
Ambulances
the media is going
Ambulances went yesterday.
Constantly with these hostage headlines. It is not true.
I don't know who's hijacking democracy.
The media multiple times.
I don't know who's hijacking democracy, and I sure hope that the Supreme Court tomorrow actually dispenses some dharma.
It will be democratic.
Dispenses dharma.
It will be democratic. If you love democracy, take its course rather than predict it.
I think democracy has been dented severely. I just hope the Supreme Court can tomorrow dispense dharma along with justice. We leave it at that. We come back to another important debate that has been raging after the MOS home. Kiran Rijiju took the bait that the Congress was handing out to dry. Big debate. Polarization wapsi in poll season. Don't go away.